On this episode of The Real Word, we talk about what a looming recession would mean for home values and what you need to know as an agent. Keller Williams and Offerpads, what's that all about? And our Marketeer of the Week. This is Byron, Lazine, and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 85 of The Real Word.
Word is up. Hey, so last week, real quick,
Yeah.
I went on. I think you know I went on a little hiatus with sharing our podcasts. But I did share last week's
A hiatus?
Yeah.
Just last week?
Well, no. I have been on a hiatus until last week. So I did post our podcast last week, and
Nicole's talking about her personal brand. If you're wondering what the heck she's talking about.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about posting the podcast on your personal brand.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, on my pages.
She was the last 60 episodes embarrassed by the content.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all. I didn't like the graphics, but we're honing in on graphics. But
you hear that?
Yeah, sorry. So I did post last week, and I had no idea because I maybe am so far behind. It actually shut down my Instagram for almost 4 days. I had no idea why.
What did?
Because I put the Bitly link in.
Oh, for
my
anybody
profile.
that doesn't know, Instagram is not taking Bitlys in the bio.
I couldn't comment on anything.
Yeah,
I
it'll
couldn't.
just block you out.
I had no idea, and I figured it out this morning.
I've been a big advocate of using Bitly links because it allows you to track.
Yes.
You know, if you put a link on
totally sabotaged my
Bitly on
business this past
LinkedIn,
week.
Facebook, and Instagram, you can see where those sources are coming in from. But LinkedIn, a couple weeks ago, I should have maybe told you that because it happened to me.
I've been trying to. I can't even like anything on someone's Instagram story.
Yeah.
Like I thought somebody blackballed me.
Don't
like,
use Bitly links.
Blackball.
If you have a Bitly link in your Instagram bio and you haven't been on Instagram in a couple weeks, then you need to go in there and remove it
off.
You are literally blocked out.
I mean, they make you feel.
So now are you back to you just going to use a regular link? Is what we're going to do. Or I went to the link tree on Instagram.
So Jill's going to work on that
on
for
a link
me.
tree.
Yes.
Yeah. I like
Yep.
the link tree idea. All right. Let's get into it. We've got 2 rackets today.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got our Marketeer of the Week. Nicole didn't like me talking about the magical marketing moments of the week.
I feel like maybe it's just like magical moment. Just it's like what's that? What was that movie? Magic Mike. You know, it's just that's what it's called, right? Yeah.
Magic with Mike?
It's too yes, it was just
it's too provocative for you,
it
that
felt,
word?
It felt
Magical?
it felt a little greasy. Like it felt like there was like a lot of grease on it. Yeah.
On those words, magical moment. Okay, so we're gonna step away from that and we're gonna go to the Marketeer of the Week. So that'll be right after these 2 rackets. I think the Marketeer and the racket, they all kind of fit together.
Yeah, you feel good about it.
I do.
Racketeer, Marketeer, it's all happening.
All right, racket number 1. Does a looming economic recession mean bad things for our real estate values? So I want to frame this up using a Real Deal article, which we'll link up. We've got 2 links for this topic: the Real Deal article and then some KCM stuff, which we'll get into here in a minute.
Does everybody know what KCM is?
Keeping Current Matters. So that's Steve Harney. I actually got to talk to Steve a little bit in the hotel lobby at the Marriott.
That sounds like a magical moment.
And that was a magical moment for me personally. Steve also shared with over 5,000 agents at the Tom Ferry Summit some of his thoughts on a looming recession. Obviously, a great week to talk about it because the stock market took a complete bath last week. We'll see what happens here as we get into this week.
I enjoy him on Instagram.
He's great.
He's like it's nothing fancy.
No,
it's nothing
but it's
fancy.
Good, hard info.
I really enjoy his voice.
Yeah,
I'm a big voice.
He's a New Yorker.
Yeah, it works for me.
So
the
Real Deal article, you can stop in like the second paragraph because they talk about these economic jolts that are going to hit the real estate industry hard hasn't really happened yet. So they're predicting things without a ton of data, although they do get into some pretty good data when they talk about commercial real estate. There was 2 quarters in a row where we had a decline in commercial. And I do think, you know, when we start talking about an economic recession, commercial this time around makes a lot more sense to me to take a big hit, not multifamily commercial, but retail commercial than anything else, just because who will an economic recession this time around as we get into going into 2020, who will that impact the most? It's probably going to be all these companies that have fallen to Amazon over the last decade.
Right. So why keep opening like additional locations?
So the brick and mortar around commercial retail, that could be a concern. I want to talk about what Steve said to the audience at the Tom Ferry Summit.
Oh, you took
and
notes.
I took some notes. And one thing I'll point out, we're in the longest recovery ever in U.S. history.
Certain of that.
So this last 10 years is a recovery from our last recession, right? Our last recession, which was 2008. This is the longest recovery ever. So you would only imagine in that case that we're going to see now a recession. What does a recession mean? A recession is 2 consecutive quarters where the GDP slips. All right? So it is not housing pricing.
Right.
It's nothing other than 2 consecutive back-to-back quarters where the GDP slips. We haven't seen that yet in America. So there are 5 countries that if you're headline reading and you're on CNN Money or CNBC or any of these places, you probably did see that headline. There are 5 global economies that are now into a recession because what happened was they had 2 consecutive quarters where their GDP slipped. So that's a recession. Now, how will a recession impact our housing market, our home values? Because that's ultimately what we care about.
Well, that's not just us. I mean, everybody.
But for our clients,
of
like
course.
dealing with their
homeowners
homes,
are always worried about. Yes.
they think or they read recession in a headline with home values and automatically assume bad.
Well, it's because we all have, I think, a little bit of like post-traumatic stress syndrome.
From 2008.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're going to put up a graphic here, Suave, and leave it up for a little bit. I think it's an important graphic for people to really absorb, understand. And when you look at our last one, 2008, our home values went down 19.7%. But let's look at the 4 recessions before that. In 1980, we actually went up.
Oh,
our
you
home
drew
values
it.
went up.
You drew it.
I drew it on my notes here.
Aw.
Yeah, but the graphic that they're looking at is much better than my notes.
You couldn't take your phone out and just snap a photo?
I could have, but I would never look at that again.
No.
You always
say,
I saw so many people taking photo after photo,
Of all
and
the
you see it at every
slides.
conference, at every
Yeah.
slide. And then I actually was sitting next to Eric, the BA, the broke agent. He was
Yes.
missing you, by the way.
Yeah, were you guys in the front? I feel like you were close to in the front.
Sometimes. And
Yeah.
this particular time we were in the back, so we saw everybody.
So he was able to afford like those kinds of seats?
No, he couldn't
Remember
afford
last
it.
time you had to
No.
smuggle me in?
He got a all-access pass.
He
We helped him out
did?
with that, yeah.
How?
Well, he's the BA.
Wow.
You know.
I wouldn't have. I probably would have been in the back without the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he had the legit setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're sitting there, and I said to him, Eric, 99% of the room is never going to look at these slides again. Like, they're never going to go
Was
that
he
far back
taking
in their
photos?
photos. No,
Oh.
he was like Instagramming or something.
I'm sure.
All right, so 1980, 6.1% increase in home values. 1981, so the next year there was another recession. So there was another back-to-back consecutive quarter of the GDP slipping. Again, home values went up in 81, 3.5%.
You know what's really funny? Look what I did this morning. I screenshotted it. Look, I screenshotted it.
Oh, good.
I feel like I'm
Thank
one
you.
of those people that were there.
So Nicole can
took a
help us. In
photo.
1991, what happened?
Well, you're talking about 1981 and then 1991.
81, it went up 3.5%.
Yes.
91, it went down 1.9%.
It did.
And then in 2001, it went up 6.6%. So those previous 4 recessions, you could argue, because 91 went down 1.9%.
That's still pretty flat, though, man.
It's pretty flat. You could argue that it was either flat or an increase in 4 of the last 5 economic recessions. Now, we went down 19.7% in 2008, so you could say, well, I don't want to get in that situation.
Never.
But what was different about that situation than the other 4?
Go ahead. We're all dying
It's like
to
a
hear.
quiz. You and I were just talking about
We
this.
were. Oh, you want me to answer it?
Yeah.
I thought that was like a rhetorical.
Well, I was looking at you.
Oh, go ahead. You can keep going.
All right. The big difference between 2008 and these previous 4 recessions is 2008's recession was driven by a mortgage and housing crisis. Steve Harney, owner of KCM, he brought up a Realtor.com survey, and Realtor.com went out and surveyed, all of their.
You love Realtor.com.
I do, and they surveyed a bunch of their, people that are using their website, a bunch of their traffic, right?
So many people.
And all the people out there.
All of them.
And so the consumers, when asked, ranked real estate as the 9th reason of why we would fall into a recession or a looming recession would happen. There were 8 other examples that consumers, homeowners, pointed to as the reason why they feel like we would slip potentially into an economic recession. Inflated stocks, right?
I do. The only thing that I want to say that goes along with that, and this is just me, is that I agree that people are feeling like, because I don't feel like the recession will happen because of housing, especially where we are. There's nothing inflated. There's no big balloons here. Like, we're not.
When you look at the data that and listen to Steve Harney, national economist, really global economist, he's talking about there not being data to support a housing crisis right now.
Right. So my point is, though, is that based on the question, it sounds like what was the question that was on Realtor.com? What did they ask the people?
They asked,
what is going to cause a recession?
Yeah, and these are consumers' opinions.
Because I feel like as a consumer, I'm not necessarily concerned with housing causing a recession. I'm just always concerned with housing during a recession. So these numbers are actually extremely helpful for me to see too, even as a real estate professional, because I've never really, to be honest, looked at them. So thank you, Steve.
These are the home values of what happened during that recession.
No, that's what I'm saying, because typically you think that during a recession, prices are going to decrease. I mean, that's just your innate concern.
And so the big point that I think is important, if you're an agent and you're relaying information to your consumers, and this is the point that Steve made, is that there is a big difference between a economic recession and a housing crisis.
Right.
In fact, those are 2 completely different things.
Yes. And most agents, including myself, I mean, I wasn't even an agent during the last recession. I just remember what happened to housing, but it was because it was really housing caused it.
And that one, housing caused it. So if and when, it's not when, or no, it's not if, it's when. Yes. It is when. Like, we will have a 2-quarter period where the GDP slips, because it's, especially with where we've been, 10 years of recovery, it is absolutely going to happen, and healthy for it to happen, for there to be recession. But as homeowners or as agents speaking to homeowners, it's important for us to remember that every economic recession is different from the last, right? Or could be different from the last. And to separate the 2. Housing crisis, recession, 2 different things.
Right.
Let's look at them both. Let's look at what's driving this one, and let's look at what's actually driving the housing market. And they may go completely different directions.
It's good information, I have to say.
We'll be talking more about that, because, listen, I mean, we don't talk about politics on this show, but
Never.
Steve made a great point. There is going to be a ton of headlines over the next 12 months or 15 months, whenever, between now and November 2020, there are going to be a lot of headlines that want to tear down the economy. And then there's going to be a lot of headlines that want to really, put the economy over the last 4 years on a pedestal, depending on who's writing the article.
I mean, that's every election year.
So you're going to look at headlines and you're going to see the most extreme version of the truth. And to Steve's point, like CNN Money and CNBC and Fox Business, like any of these types of sources are driving clickbait to their political agendas and are probably not the source to actually get the information of what's happening in the economy. I'm going to really start to dig in as an agent into KCM, keeping current matters, as much as I possibly can so that I can be educated for my clients.
Well, I think it's also helpful though too because people are relying on you to be an information source. You need to not be flustered by the headlines.
You need to be able to combat the headlines because your clients are no doubt reading those headlines. They don't know what keeping current matters. Not every homeowner knows or would even subscribe to keeping current matters because they don't need to. That information is not relevant on a day-to-day basis to what they do. Yeah. The Ivy Zellman report, it's one that Tom Ferry pushes a lot, something that's, a little bit more advanced, I think, than what KCM is. KCM is really breaking it down so you can relay the information to your consumer in a beautiful, understandable fashion.
Beautiful.
Ivy Zellman is really going into like these long form reports.
Yeah, I don't like
lots of words, Nicole.
I don't do words.
But that's where, as agents, we need to focus on what is actually happening. Get away from the headlines. I know on this show we like to do headlines.
No, well, but that's how But we also do. There's multiple times though too where we said that the headline doesn't match up. The article was nothing about the headline. So
all right, racket number 2, more iBuyer talk. So Offerpads is financing the Keller Williams iBuyer program. What is that called? Keller Offers?
Keller Offers.
Keller Offers. So and here's what Nicole and I have been yelling this. Every single brokerage out there should be doing this. Keller Williams, congratulations. You're doing what you should be doing.
Right.
Take Zillow's name, Instant Offers, rip it off, put your name in the front, put offers on the back. That's what they did.
They did it.
This is a product. It's a feature. It's a component of what Zillow does.
It's a shtick. We always talk about shticks.
It's something that you should be ripping off.
Is our table wobbling
I know
today?
It's very wobbly.
I feel like we're
very wobbly.
It's noisy and wobbling.
It is a hook
moving a lot.
and a shtick that every broker should be using.
Yes.
And certainly brokerages. I will say every brokerage that is north of $1 billion in sales volume that hasn't already implemented this is behind. They're not opening their eyes to what's actually going on. This is an offering that you should be able to provide to every one of your agents and every one of your clients.
I mean, if anything, it's it's all like lead generation too. Holy heck. I mean, especially now because Offerpad in this situation, not only are they financing the purchases, but they're also giving the offers over to a Keller Williams agent.
And there's enough money that wants to get into real estate right now. So if you are a brokerage saying, geez, well, yeah, we've got $1 billion, Byron, we've got $1.2 billion in sales volume, but we're investing in our back-end tech platforms. We're investing in our AI. We don't have the money to do this.
Yeah.
Well, you can do what Keller Williams, who's got plenty of money, did. They partnered with Offerpads to finance.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people that'll partner with you if you have the agents that can fulfill the back end of the lead flow.
Right. Well, so that's exactly what's happening here is Offerpad is coming up with an offer, some special algorithm that they have.
Offer is,
Well, no, it's Offerpad that's coming up with the offer and giving it to a Keller Williams agent. So the Keller Williams agent is then themselves are presenting the offer to the seller. So there's now an agent that's very much part of the process so that the seller isn't just like out there like flapping its wings, not knowing what to do. There's now an agent that's able to present the offer, but then also give them other options before they decide to go that route.
Sounds like in this particular deal, Keller Williams has basically implemented another flow of income for their agents. Agents will be paid on the front end and they'll be paid on the back end. So, if somebody takes the deal and they're getting paid on the front end, it's probably not going to be a huge hit for them.
No, but
it's going to be something.
Well, but what ends up happening too is that Offerpad is then listing with a Keller Williams agent the home that they own. So,
and remember, this is going to be a small percentage of the market. We're not going to beat this one up because we talked a lot in the last episode about iBuyers.
We're going to see this headline more and more.
Yeah, and I'm almost getting sick of it. I want to not see it again because I feel like every broker should be implementing this yesterday.
It shouldn't be an Inman headline.
That's for sure. It's already old news. I know it seems and feels new, but it's not.
No.
And it's a feature
we've even talked about we should just be doing it ourselves as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
we really should.
Jeepers.
No, we're slacking on that.
I know.
100%.
I'm saying we should be listening to our own our own podcasts.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you listen?
I don't.
All right. We've got our Marketeer of the week.
Fun one.
What do you got, Nicole?
Fun one. No, you go ahead. You do it. You got
No, this is your thing.
It's really not.
Yeah.
Sean Cochran
This is your
from
moment.
Chicago. So on Realtor Magazine, we saw the video. We hopped onto his Facebook page. Are we playing the video? Are we going to play it?
We're going to play a little.
My inspector goes in low places where the radon glows and the mold chases most agents away.
I got friends in low places. Sean did a parody, which you love. I'm still trying to talk Byron into doing one for our team.
I love parodies. I think we should do
Yes.
one. I just prefer not to be in it.
And not to be in it, of course, or do anything with it, or do anything. Just
I'll share
watch
it. I'll share it.
Oh, you
at
would?
least.
Just
Yeah,
not
I'm
with a Bitly link.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think-
So congratulations to Sean. It's really about him and his team and what he does. It's which obviously that's our job, is to market ourselves. He's very right, because in the article he talks about the fact that real estate is very much show business. I mean, we all have to continue to step up our games at this point.
And I think the days of the classic, the walkthrough video are over. I think
I
you
was
should.
over those years ago.
think
People
you
that are
should
at
have-
open houses that are like, first of all, your open house is over by the time I actually see that
Yeah.
video. I'm sorry. I just
if it's an hour-long walkthrough. I think you should have a 1-minute video, 2-minute video tops on every one of your listings.
Short,
I think that
fast.
that should just be like
crib style, fly through. Don't give too much away, because if people are watching the video, then they're never going to come to the house potentially.
that should just be like a standard at this point in real estate.
Tease them.
But any production video should be along the lines of either
Hokey?
a parody, entertainment.
Yes.
Because you want, he got over 500,000
I
views.
think he's actually up to 700 at this point now.
700,000
Yeah.
views. You want enough people to find it entertaining where they'll actually share it with their friend who's not in real estate,
Yes.
just because it's hilarious.
Well, and what's really fun though here is that he's actually now. This happened, I think, on July 11th. We're now sort of in the middle of August, and he now actually has built sort of a brand all around it now. He's always wearing his hat now. He's always wearing his jacket. So what a fun way to sort of I'm sure he was wildly successful before, but what a great way for him to maybe reboot his career.
Great.
And if we have anything in
Reboot. What do you-
Chicago,
his career was down?
no, I didn't say that. Did you listen
You
to what
said
I
a
said?
reboot.
No, right? It's just a rebrand. A rebrand. Come on, we rebrand
Sean,
all
way
the
to
time.
come out of the dead and reemerge yourself here.
That's not what I said at all, Sean.
Sean,
but-
great video.
Yes,
You're
we
the
enjoyed it. I laughed. I giggled.
You're the Marketeer of the week.
Yes, congratulations.
All right.
Ooh, do we give awards?
If maybe we will. Maybe we're gonna have our own award show at the end of the year.
Yes.
We're keeping track of all. We were up to 3 Marketeers. You were the second Marketeer. Actually, you were a magical moment. Is that a different category?
I don't want to be that.
If anybody has seen just an absolutely amazing marketing piece over the last week, send it in to us.
Please.
Or at least just link it up, put it in the comment, and tell us where we can find it. And we'll share that with all
or
of you
if
guys.
they've produced something, if you guys want us to see what you're doing, I'd love to see that
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, guys. With that, let's keep it
That's it.
real and jump off.
See ya.
Have a great week.
Bye.